Matt again, coming to you from the doctor's office in Seattle, Washington, with another episode of Doctor's Orders, the series in which I introduce you to a bottle that's on our shelves from our world-class selection, tell you a little connection I have with it, a little story that I would tell you if I was here at the bar. Again, these are bar stories. I'm going to tell it as best I remember it. Can't vouch for entirely accurate information, but it's at least as my memory serves. So today I'm sipping Port Charlotte Heavily Peated 10-year, the PC10. This is from Isla. It says heavily peated, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but again, I don't really do the tasting notes thing. There, you can look them up online or taste it yourself. But as someone who loves peat, I do love smoke. They say it's heavily peated, but it's not overpowering smoke, right? It's a nice balance to the smoke. It makes a ridiculously good highball. But that's not what I'm here to talk about, because there are people better suited to tell you all about the flavor profiles and all that sort of thing. I'm going to tell you about when I visited the distillery on Isla. So Isla, beautiful little island, very small population, and everyone kind of seems to know each other there, or at least they know someone who knows someone. Johnny Mundell, Johnny the Scot, who has come up in a previous episode, told me to ask for directions when I got my rental car, and I'm sure he knew what the answer was going to be, because the guy at the rental car counter says, all right, so you're gonna go leave the parking lot, you turn left. I said, yeah. I said, that's it. Because there's just one road, and it goes all the way around. And there's a branch point eventually, but he said, yeah, the place you're staying, it's before that. I was staying in the town of Beaumont, and Bruichlotti's a little farther down the road, and when I went there the next day, they gave me a tour of this place, absolutely beautiful. I love intentional inefficiency. Unintentional inefficiency can screw off, but intentional inefficiency, when you do things in a traditional way, when you do things that involve people from your community, instead of just automating everything, there's something beautiful about that. And that is Bruichlotti to a T. And there they do, the Bruichlotti, they do the Port Charlotte and do the Octomore. So when it comes to heavily peated, that's Octomore for me. That's like peat. But the Port Charlotte is this kind of beautiful middle spot. And as we're touring around and we come to the still room, and Budgie the stillman's got an oily rag on a stick, and he's just polishing these babies of his. And we get talking, and we're talking about kind of the origins of some of the things they do. And he said, well, when we were going to resurrect Port Charlotte, this was, I guess, again, as I remember it, a style that they used to do back in the day. And they wanted to recreate that. And there was a guy, they said, there was a guy who used to work here, lives not too far away. He used to drink that all the time. He probably remembers what it tastes like. So they took some samples to him, and he tastes through and says, oh yeah, this reminds me of what I used to remember. And so they modeled that after his memory of this whiskey. And so I smile, like, that's a great story, right? So then later that night, I'm at the Beaumont Hotel, which has a fantastic bar, tons of Bruichlotti, the Lynch hand-filled series, delightful little spot. And there's this painting on the wall of the bar, and some of the old duffers sitting around the bar. And someone asks about the painting, and barkeep says, oh, this is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so. I recognize the name. So I said, oh yeah, hey, doesn't he live over on such and such lane, used to work over at Bruichlotti? And he just turns and listens, how do you know that? Because it was in fact that same guy. But this is the kind of thing that happens. There's only so many people to tell stories about. And so it ends up coming up that same guy popped up in another story later that night. And again, I just love when there's little connections like that. But it is a very tight-knit community there. And if you go visit, which you 100% should, be sure to go to Bruichlotti, get to know the folks. There's a reason they put their pictures on a bunch of their bottles of the staff. Everything from like the shipping department staff to distillers, and so everything in between. They just respect all of the people involved there. It's just a beautiful thing, and this is a beautiful whiskey. So this is what the doctor ordered this week. swing by the bar. We'll throw it 15% off, and you know, raise one to Budgie and whatever that guy's name was. I can't remember because let's be honest, I was drinking. So take care.